impressive amount of growth. In particular, in the United States, the largest market in the world for tequila, 2 years ago, the sales value of tequila overtook the sales value of all the American whiskey sold
Yes.
in the United States of
Amazing,
America.
huh?
It's amazing because remember, tequila is a denomination of origin spirit. And so imagining a product that can only be made in a very specific place, out of a very specific process, in a specific way, to be that not, I don't want to say dominant, but to have that significance in the market when, for example, I started 40 years ago, less than 2% of tequila drinkers even drank 100% agave. It's been quite impressive. One of the great areas, as you mentioned, that has been greatly significant in the growth of tequila has been this introduction of celebrity tequila. It's been a phenomenon that at first was very interesting and difficult to understand. Because we've seen historically celebrities own whiskeys, own wine, own cognacs,
Rum.
own rum, own vodkas, but never to the degree and amount that Americans have wanted to own tequila brands. Now, it's the most interesting thing to me is I've always thought that people of great wealth or status or popularity or fame always had the greatest access to the best of everything. You see these celebrities or very wealthy people in private jets and beautiful cars, eating at the most fancy restaurants, enjoying the most lavish things that life has to offer. But when it comes to tequila, the celebrity tequilas, unfortunately, in my opinion, overwhelmingly are incredibly mediocre products. There's been a lack of good knowledge given the celebrity or the important person, and most of that information has led to people participating in mediocre products.
So
I'm
we
sad.
could be diluting what tequila is about.
Not necessarily. They have contributed to opening tequila to a new audience because
A
of the
wider
fame
audience. Yeah.
attached to it. But I think a lot of the products that are on the market as celebrity tequilas are mediocre products and not exceptionally
Yeah.
produced agave products.
As one should expect.
Exactly.
Yeah.
As one would expect from someone who has all this knowledge and access to information. So if anything, I would say I wish there was a celebrity brand that I could personally recommend, because it would mean that that celebrity really cared about the product or cared about the culture, etc., etc.
What's your take on another, I wouldn't say trend, another thing in the modern tequila industry? That would be the additive-free thing. What's your take on this?
And we've always encouraged the consumer to try to access the best quality products he or she can, and to enjoy tequila obviously responsibly, but the way it was originally produced. It seems like such a easy or obvious notion, but like many things, the simpler the better. Tequila should taste of agave, of cooked agave. So as long as it's made with water, yeast, and agave, I think you have a winning product.
Yeah.
It's very simple. Now, the additive
What about
free,
labeling that?
yeah, and that's been a thing, because as tequila has grown and become more commercialized, some regulations have been amplified to allow people to maybe be more creative, we'll say,
Or
but
produce more tequila?
in order to produce more tequila. But if people go with companies that have good reputations and long-standing reputations, I think they'll be able to enjoy the tequila.
Now, tequila, the past weeks, again hit the headlines, at least in Europe, um, because of some threats, announcements, talk, political discourse, we would say,
Sure.
on around imposing tariffs on Mexican spirits. I know that this doesn't happen. I don't know exactly how that went. I know that Mexican spirits are excluded from, correct me if I'm wrong, from these tariffs by Trump administration. But has this affected the tequila industry in any way so far? And could that be a thing, let's say in 6 months, if Trump administration again starts to starts this discourse, this political discourse around imposing tariffs, maybe to Mexican spirits?
Yeah. Well, the Trump administration, I think, unfortunately, globally, has created instability in many business marketplaces,
Mhm.
including the Mexican spirit in particular. So, what I'm interested in the tequila space. At first, when the United States announced the possibility of 25% tariffs on all Mexican products. Well, that word all, we thought, oh my God, tequila. And in particular, as an owner or as the manager of Tommy's, where 99.9% of the alcohol we sell to our
It's
guests is
Mexican.
from
Yeah.
Mexico, it was a great concern. Now, as you correctly said, at the last moment, Mexican spirits were excluded from those tariffs. But as we all know,
Excluded or delayed?
uh, excluded,
Okay.
but as we know from this American administration, that means nothing.
Yeah.
He can change his mind tomorrow. Interestingly enough, the tequila industry in particular has always had the luxury of essentially having one major client after its own clients in its domestic country, right, of Mexico. Many tequila producers have exclusively sold the overwhelming majority of their products to the United States of America. And so historically, there's been little impetus for many Mexican tequila producers to look to other marketplaces for growth. Is good, but maybe not with the prestige, but still just as good and just as enjoyable. And again, sustainability is an incredible question because one of the things that definitely makes tequila differently, as we know, 100% agave by law, unless this law is changed, can only be bottled at origin and in location. So the carbon footprint is intense, right?
Yes.
But if in Africa we can make great agave distillates for the African market or for markets near Africa, that'd be wonderful.
They started
Like,
making in California.
correct, correct. And they have started making some in Africa as well as
Really?
Australia, India. We expect Asia. So yes. So the future is bright for agave. It's
Hopefully.
also bright. Again, many people don't remember, but agave distillates are the only distillates in the world that aren't depressants. So it's a little bit of a stimulant and an up feeling when you enjoy tequila responsibly. So,
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Julio Bermejo. Julio, thank you so much.
thank you. Year Event Cocktail Week.